in New York at MSNBC, and she had this short about list of things that ended previous campaigns, presidential campaigns. And, she talked about how, Howard Dean, he spoke too loudly in the microphone back in the 80s or 90s, so he was disqualified. And you have George Bush, no new taxes, different very sort of benign things that have ended other people's political careers and presidential bids. And then you have Donald Trump, who, among other things, according to Rachel, he was caught, using fake union members or something like that. And it's just par for the course. And so, this is what people need to understand. You see, I was watching the Democratic National Convention, little snippets, the Obamas speaking. They great speeches, I mean, I've the parts that I did see on the YouTube shorts were really great. Everything is great. Parts of Kamala Harris's husband's speech was also great. Everything is absolutely great. Um, the crowds are amazing. They're beyond great. It's just like, wow, this is a movement. This is beginning to rival Barack Obama's run in 2008. And so on and so forth. So, so there's that. And you're like, okay, how do I interpret this data? Well, look, the way I interpret this data is it looks good. It looks really good. It looks really hopeful. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But then I come back to the gut, what I feel in my gut. What I feel in my gut. After all of the analysis, all of the data, looking at everything, all those crowds, these are some impressive crowds that Kamala Harris has. And then Donald Trump, and I'm like, you look at Donald Trump's CV, you look at his resume, you look at, you just look at it and you're like, wow, that it's like a whole rap sheet at this point. And and then he has a VP who just puts his foot in his mouth every day. He's this anti-woman mind view, and just like this is a slam dunk for Kamala, right? This is a slam dunk for Kamala. So why do I feel like it's not? You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what? I'm starting to think I'm the one with the issue. I'm the one with the issue. Kamala's going to win. But I just get a feeling in the pit of my gut, you guys, that this was not the year to put up Kamala. This was not the year to put up Kamala. I know she's out, raising him in terms of donations. Her crowd sizes are so much bigger. She probably will win the popular vote. I mean, who knows? Now everybody's saying, oh, it's such a close race. Some people are saying it's still Trump's race to lose. It's Kamala's race. Look, you guys, Trump could have definitely lost this election depending on who you put him up against. Putting him up against Kamala was strategically a mistake because she could win, but why go through this nail biting? Why not put her before the voters, the Democrats, have a debate, a couple of debates, let the people choose who they want to be going forward as their candidate on the top of the ticket. I suspect if they had done that you'd have a different person at the top of the ticket, right? Now, it could have pissed off some people, in the some key demographics could have been pissed off by that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, either way you went with this, it could have been problematic. The problem is when you're dealing with a person like Donald Trump, you have to think out of the box. You have to think counterintuitively. You cannot think in a linear way, which I think was very much the thinking with this. It's like you have to think in a more convoluted way, and you have to look at many different things, because if you don't, you fall into a trap. It's like there's a Trojan horse in the room, right? And while Kamala Harris is an exciting pick, she's a hopeful pick, she's a joyful pick, and maybe it was fair that if she's the VP, clearly she should, the mantle should, the baton should pass to her without anybody interfering. Maybe, but maybe not. As I said, I'm sure that they're going to make some constitutional arguments. Let's say that she does in fact pull this off. Then they're going to make constitutional arguments to say that this whole election was illegitimate, and the Supreme Court is going to agree with them because the Supreme Court is stacked, right? It's stacked. I mean, it's not a court anymore. It's an arm of the executive branch, right? Especially when that executive branch is a conservative, Trump in particular. So, I mean, I no longer listen to anything the court has to say in terms of the final arbiter of justice. Give me a break, right? Give me a break. This has nothing to do with justice anymore, right? This is a political tool. It's a weapon. The court is a political weapon, right? So anyway you cut this, let's say best case scenarios, Kamala does pull this off and gets the electoral and popular votes, or if not, she probably will get the popular votes and she will get the electoral votes, hopefully. But let's say she doesn't get the popular votes and she does get the electoral votes, so she wins either way you cut it, right? There's going to be a massive challenge to this. And of course, I'm not an election law expert. I know nothing about elections, but nor do I know anything about the Constitution. But I have a feeling that very clever lawyers are going to come up with arguments about why this whole thing was illegitimate. Kamala's ascension as the presumptive nominee was illegitimate because somehow it did not provide voters with the choice. It was undemocratic somehow. Okay. But that all said, I digress a little bit because my real concern is her ability to win. And as I said, all indicators right now, we're in August, are pointing to her having a landslide victory, which I said Trump would have a landslide. As of today, it looks like it's Kamala who's going to have a landslide. And the Democrats are basically already celebrating. I mean, it's just very joyful and celebratory and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just sitting here and there's a knot in the pit of my gut. And I'm like, everybody stop. Don't celebrate yet. Just stop. Step back a little bit and take a look at what we're really dealing with here. This man, Donald Trump, you don't have to like him, but this is not an idiotic man. This is a man who does all kinds of things with the help of others, and only they end up in prison. Only other people pay consequences. He pays consequences for absolutely nothing. So, Rachel Maddow was sitting here talking about the fact that Trump had all these fake union workers to, pretend that whatever they pretended. I don't even know. The rules that apply to normal people don't apply to Trump. The norms that apply to all other people do not apply to Trump. The fact that Trump is the nominee for the Republicans after everything that has happened tells you everything about what the voters on his side and some of the independents as well, and even Democrats, really think about all of these legal proceedings. They think it's all politically motivated. They think it's everybody else except Trump. Trump is the Teflon done. That's number one. But number two, even though it looks like Trump is losing, he's saying all the wrong things, his vice president is a hot mess, Da 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 da. Come election day, I'm going to tell you something. I would not be shocked if we see a completely different outcome from what the DNC crowds and the rally crowds that Kamala has are now showing. It's a mirage. It's a mirage. And why? Because many different reasons. America is not ready for a woman president. Now, they may say they are, and they may want to deep in their hearts, but America is a very macho country, right? I mean, very, very macho country. And, they're not ready for a woman president. I really just don't think they are. Now, Kamala is a mixed person of Indian and African, Jamaican ancestry. I don't think they're ready for her either. Now, look, Barack Obama was mixed as well. He was African and white, but he was male. So, look, white men are not going to vote for Kamala Harris. They're just not going to do it. And a lot of white women are also not going to vote for Kamala Harris. Okay, at the end of the day, this is what I think. But that's not the worst of it. I mean, it's the other groups that can really swing elections that I think are most problematic, in the sense that, they too are not ready. They too are not ready to have a woman and to have a woman with her ancestry. That's just what I believe the facts of the matter to be. If they have to choose between this candidate and a Trump, even though Trump is whatever Trump is to everyone, they're going to go with Trump because, first of all, yes, he's a man. Second, he's like a movie character, like a villain. And it's like we live in a world where everybody likes a good villain. Everybody likes a good movie. They like the bad guy. The bad guy is the most exciting guy in the movie, right? So Trump has that going for him. Like, Kamala can never be a bad guy. She chases the bad guy. And okay, whatever. This is heroic in its own way. But the bad guy is much more interesting. And people like to be on the edge of their seats. Trump keeps them on the edge of their seats. Also, it would be so new and different to have a felon as president. And people want to see what that is like. Third, they really feel like because Trump is a self-professed billionaire, whether he is or not is another debate, but he has that image and perception, even though a lot has been discredited. They like that. They like the idea of money, people who can make money. The vice president, she's never made any money. She's going to make a lot of money if she does become president and she writes the book, or even if she doesn't become president, she's going to get a good deal from Random House, and she's going to make a few $1,000,000, and her husband is wealthy. He's a professor at Georgetown Law, whatever. But it's not the same. And we live in a culture where things like wealth and money and fame and notoriety and clicks and these and kind of things, like Obama said, predominate. It rules over everything else, right? And where that's concerned, Kamala cannot compare to Trump in that way. The other thing is, it's only August. I mean, a lot can happen between now and then. I mean, you can bet your bottom dollar that they're doing research on Kamala and her husband's family and her family, and they're going to come up with something. You know this, and they probably already have it, and they're going to unleash it in a manner and time that is going to have maximum impact. I would suggest to the Democrats, all I'm saying is stop celebrating. Right? Stop celebrating. It's not time to celebrate yet. This is terrifying to think that there's any margin for error and that Trump could actually pull this off, because there's so much at stake that it's so petrifying. 2025, the dossier 2025, just all of it is so terrifying that I don't see how anybody could let their guard down to be celebrating already. Like, we have nothing to celebrate, right? I mean, focus on getting people to actually go to the polls and vote, actually vote in record numbers. Nobody is making that an emphasis. No one is saying that. That needs to be a commercial that plays 24 hours a freaking day, every day till November, because all these polls mean nothing. All these people at these rallies having a party means absolutely nothing. Any chance that Trump could pull this off is completely petrifying. And there are many, many reasons that he could. He did it before in 2016 when everyone said that they hated him. Everyone, even here in France, everyone hated him. And yet he won because people are just talking. They're talking hot air. People are talking hot air. All of the channels, the conservatives, the liberal, the moderates, Trump is a bad guy. He still won in 2016. And in 2020, he almost won, but for COVID. He got the second highest number of popular votes in American political history, despite everything that had occurred during his chaotic 4-year term. That should tell you even more about this person and who you're dealing with. And you're sitting there thinking that you have this in the bag, that you have a slam dunk. This is not a slam dunk, you guys. The Democrats are being completely, I don't even know what the word is. I'm just terrified. But you know what? Maybe I need just to take a chill pill. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm seeing something that just isn't there and I'm not seeing what is there. You guys, Trump still has this in the bag. Do something.